Have you ever caught yourself whispering when no one is there? Not shouting, not losing control, just a quiet sentence that escapes your mouth before you can swallow it back. One line in the bathroom mirror, half a thought in your room. You laugh it off or feel a flash of shame because the world calls this strange. But deep down, you sense something else is happening. In that tiny moment between thought and sound, it feels like another version of you has stepped forward to finally speak. On the street, you murmur, "Left at the corner, then call, then breathe," thinking no one notices. A stranger glances at your moving lips and quietly labels you. Weird, unstable, lonely. But from the inside, it feels like survival. Your mind is crowded and fast. Words outside help slow it down. Speaking your thoughts aloud isn't losing reality, it's gripping it tighter. While others let chaos swirl in silence, you hang your thoughts on sound, where you can finally see them and decide what to do. You weren't born afraid of your own voice. Inside you lives the child who once narrated everything, the teenager who swallowed feelings to keep the peace, and the adult who learned to perform, "I'm fine," while something twisted underneath. When you talk to yourself, all those versions of you come closer. The world says, "Stop, that's crazy." But your nervous system knows better. It isn't madness. It's a reunion. It's the part of you that was silenced too early, finally stepping back into the light. Think about children playing alone. They don't just move toys, they narrate them. This goes here. Now he's scared. Now she's brave. Psychologist Lev Vygotsky called this private speech, a tool children naturally use to guide themselves, plan, and regulate emotions before they can do it silently. You once did this too, before you were taught to be quiet. Back then, talking to yourself wasn't strange. It was how your mind learned to hold itself together in a world that felt too big. Not every child had someone who truly listened. Some grew up with parents who were physically present but emotionally far away. Faces that looked at them but didn't really see them. So the child's voice turned inward. When no one asked, "How was your day?" that inner voice did. When disappointment cracked their chest, it whispered back the pieces. Talking to yourself became a quiet form of survival. The self became both caregiver and child, witness and comfort, all held in the same body. Now you're an adult who looks composed. You know how to smile at the right time, nod in meetings, say, "I'm fine," on cue. But the voice never left. It hides behind the mask until you're alone, in the bathroom, staring into the mirror longer than necessary, or in the kitchen late at night. Then it emerges. Why did you say that? You did your best. You're exhausted. This isn't weakness. It's the part of you refusing to collapse under your own performance. Psychologists call it internal dialogue, but it's not just one voice. There is the narrator, describing what you're doing, giving shape to your existence. There is the critic, holding your failures and fears. And there is the inner parent, sometimes soothing, sometimes scolding. Research on distanced self-talk shows that speaking to yourself using your name, "You'll be okay, Sarah," can actually help you regulate emotions, like you're coaching a friend. These voices aren't separate people. They're fragments of you, trying to keep you functioning. Self-talk isn't just emotional, it's practical. You say, "Pan, oil, then garlic," while cooking. Attach file, double-check subject before sending an email. Sports psychologists have found that instructional and motivational self-talk can sharpen focus and improve performance in athletes and complex tasks. You're doing something similar with your life. Each sentence is a line of mental code, turning chaos into steps. Talking to yourself isn't distraction. It's an active focus your brain invented to keep you on track. On anxious days, your voice shifts. Breathe. You've survived worse. One thing at a time. Saying it out loud slows you down. Studies show that self-talk, especially when spoken or distanced, can help regulate emotion and restore self-control, moving activity back toward the rational parts of the brain instead of pure fear. It might not erase the panic, but it gives your nervous system a hand to hold. Your body responds to your own tone, even when your belief is shaky. Not all self-talk is kind. Sometimes you mutter, "I'm useless. I ruin everything." These words might feel automatic, but they're not harmless. Frequent harsh self-talk is linked to higher anxiety and depression. It fuels shame and hopelessness. Cognitive behavioral therapy teaches people to notice these patterns and actively challenge them, to swap "I always fail" for "I struggled this time, but I can learn." When you hear your own cruelty out loud, you also get the first chance to answer it differently. We live in a culture that worships noise, constant notifications, conversation, performance. Silence makes people uncomfortable, and a person at peace with their own company seems suspicious. When you talk to yourself, you break the script. You show that solitude isn't empty for you, it's filled with real dialogue. That unsettles people. Your honesty reminds them of their own unspoken thoughts, so they laugh, label, or judge. It's easier to call you crazy than admit they're afraid to hear themselves as clearly as you do. There are nights when your voice is the only one that truly stays. You talk to yourself in bed, on the couch, in the dark kitchen. It comforts you. You're trying. You're doing your best. Attachment theory says we learn intimacy through being seen and soothed by others. But if that rarely happened, your own voice took over that job. It became your refuge, and sometimes, your prison. Because the only place you can be fully honest is also the place where your doubts echo loudest. Healing doesn't mean silencing the voice. It means changing the relationship you have with it. Psychologists call this inner reparenting, giving yourself now the emotional presence you needed then. When you say, "It's okay, I'm here with you," you're stepping into the role of the parent, friend, or guide you wished you had. Writing your thoughts out, or speaking them slowly, turns an overwhelming fog into something you can walk through. Each kinder sentence is a tiny repair stitch in the torn fabric of your story. Talking to yourself doesn't just describe your reality, it helps create it. Neuroscience and cognitive psychology show that repeated phrases, "I can't," or "I'm capable," shape how your brain wires itself, changing confidence, attention, and even performance over time. People who talk to themselves walk a thin line. Their words can become chains or keys. You feel how one sentence can lift your body while another drains you. That's not imagination. Each internal conversation is a small act of programming. So, what does it really mean if you talk to yourself? It means you refused to let your inner world stay silent. It means you found ways to soothe, to question, to plan, to survive, even when no one taught you how. It can hurt, yes. It can also save you. The crucial question isn't, do you talk to yourself? It's, what kind of voice are you becoming to yourself? You're not talking to the air. You're returning to the only person who has never left you. You.